everybody, welcome again one more time. Well, not one more time, another time to the weekly Aftermath. This is the AVGL Aftermath, where we go over what's going on in the AVGL League, over, general news and stuff in the esports world. And this week, super exciting, we've got a new guest, but we'll get to him later. Let's start with the people you know. J-Mac, who are you? Let the people know.
Well, my name is J-Mac Tucker. I'm a Smite caster here at the AVGL. Been here for now my third season, looking to finish it out. Season's going great, and we still got a little bit more match play before we get to our playoffs.
Hell yes. All right, Cameron, let the people know.
Hi, I'm Cameron Davis, and I'm the guy who yells about Counter-Strike for AVGL.
Hell yes. And he's also made some prediction videos, which are pretty badass. You should go find them.
I've made like one prediction video. Most of my videos have just been around introducing the new teams to the scene, but you can do that too.
Maybe she made one.
And then we also have a special first-time guest. His name is Srixis, and he's here to rep Paladins. Let him know about yourself, brother.
What's up, everybody? I'm Srixis. I'm pretty new to the AVGL team. I was brought on as like a content producer, writer for Smite and Paladins. Just been getting into more of the competitive side of the games as a whole. So yeah, that's why I'm here.
Oh yes, he's a newcomer. He's kicking ass and taking Paladin names and telling us who's going to win. So it's been pretty nice. Good content creator. So everybody hit him up on his Twitter. Let him know that he's loved, or ask him questions like, "What's a Paladin?" All right. So next we're going to go into our weekly recaps. Let's start with Smite and Mr. J-Mac Tucker. What's been going on in the league, man?
Well, for some of our divisions, 3 of them, our teams of 8 have been finishing up their matches. The last match, I believe, has been played now that Southwestern College and Calvin have finished up their matchups. So we have the entirety of the Ragnarok Conference completely finished up right now with their matches. We are now waiting to see them for their gauntlets later on into the upcoming weeks. Ohio State sitting at the number 1 in the Norse division, and Southwestern College right behind them. Stony Brook University on the side of the Egyptian division is sitting at number 1, and Bowling Green State is sitting at number 2. Now we kind of have up in the air for our next one, which is the Gaelic Conference. Celtic Division, Salisbury University has locked in their first seed. Nobody's going to be able to take that away. Up in the air at the moment is still Millersville, DePaul, and Concordia. Right now, DePaul has the head-to-head matchup against both of those teams. So unless DePaul loses another match, they will most likely be the second seed. On the Mayan Division, St. Joseph's has locked in their first seed, and right now sitting in second place is University of Massachusetts Dartmouth. For the Yomi Conference, Japanese Division, George Mason, after their 2-1 victory over Penn State, locks them into first place, and Penn State right behind them in second. Tarrant County College has sealed in their undefeated season yet again at 8-0 to get their first seed. Georgia Tech Yellow right behind them. Lastly, finishing up, the only one that's really not 100% decided is the Olympus Conference. Greek has locked in theirs with University of Tennessee Orange sitting at number 1, UC Riverside at number 2. And over in the Roman division, we still have a lot up in the air. Right now, University of California Santa Cruz is leading, but we have 3 universities all kind of fighting for that second seed. We got Regis University, we have California State University, Los Angeles, and University of Advancing Technology, all still battling it out to get that second seed. We'll see who comes out on top this week, as a lot of those matches are going to be finished up.
That sounds awesome. Thanks for the recap on Smite, as it's always interesting that you follow the scene very closely, as we all know, and you can talk for hours. But real quick, any surprises in this?
I would say University of Tennessee Orange was probably the biggest surprise out of all of them. We were kind of predicting UC Riverside in the Greek division to be the number 1, but a couple weeks back when the meme squad was able to take them down, UC Riverside falls to second. So Tennessee Orange being the number 1 is kind of the big surprise of them. And I'd say this past week's match of Southwestern College and Ohio State, which hopefully we'll get to see the action for that one. Unfortunately, the records are already up on the site, so you already know Southwestern does get that victory. But it was an amazing set, and seeing Calvin fall was a little harsh because they were one of my favorite second seeds going into it. So I'd say that's probably my surprise. Those are probably my 2 biggest surprises.
Oh, that's awesome. Congratulations to the teams pulling it out of nowhere. That's not generally a good term, but I'll figure a better way to phrase that next time. Let's move on to CSGO. Cameron, what's going on there?
Everything's kind of, for the most part, playing out as usual. I'm not going to do a full rundown of the standings in the groups just yet. I'm going to save that for the end when we go over our predictions. But as But for the most part, the teams that are top are beating the teams below them. The only real upsets that we have in this is going to be in Group C, where Montreal absolutely smashed Queens College. And that, along with an unusual number of teams dropping out partway through the season. It's honestly, at this point, I haven't run the numbers manually yet, and I do not know what the actual standings are going to be. What we do know, though, is that Donald Deplorables are still on top, and then there's going to be like a three-way race for a second between Queens, Boston, and Montreal. Then we're going to have in Group D, currently it looks like C Tech is on top, but then there's a three-way race behind them for second between Champlain, is that how you pronounce that school? Champlain, Carleton, and Georgetown University. And those, for the most part, aren't going to meet until this second half of the season, except for Georgetown did just 2-0 Champlain. And so that already gives a nice leg up for them coming into the end of season race there. And then in Group H, UC San Diego 2-0 to University of Washington, which currently there's a two-way tie for first and then a two-way tie for third. UC San Diego was one of the first, beat Washington one of the third. And so that kind of just sets that divide a little stronger there. But otherwise, everything's playing out as per usual.
Nice. So lots of three-ways, lots of competition, and lots of shootouts. It sounds like it's going to be an exciting last half of the season once we get there.
It's actually going to be I'm going to have a hard time choosing which games I want to suggest we commentate on Sundays, because I know during the next week and week 7 there are already 2 or 3 exciting matchups.
Kick ass. I'm going to have to tune in and watch some CSGO. It sounds like it's going to be an awesome time. Hey, and we get our first Paladins recap. So Strixus, take us through the Paladins. What's going on over there?
All right. Well, the regular division play ended this week. We already had 7 of the 8 teams going to the final bracket locked after last week. And then this week we had the final second seed to play out in the Serpent Beach division. Stony Brook ended up locking that. Georgia Gwinnett was unable to play, which was unfortunate. So we didn't end up getting a huge rough and tough match for second place, but we do have that spot secured. Everybody else is in place. We have a bracket already for the final 8-man bracket on Sunday, which that's when we cut to top 2, I believe, and then the top 2 go to play in Atlanta at Hi-Res Studios in 2 weeks.
Oh, that's insane. I didn't know we were doing the finals at Hi-Res. That's so freaking cool. All right, so yet another reason to go check out Paladins. It's an awesome game. It's still by the beta, right?
They just fairly recently went into open beta about 10 or so patches ago. So it's still a work in progress, but I mean it's great fun. Yeah, it's sweet.
It's
Aren't
awesome.
they also
it's free to play.
Aren't they also going into the Xbox and PS4 closed betas pretty soon?
Yeah, they actually just released Xbox and PS4 closed betas about a week and a half ago.
Oh, damn.
So there was limited access closed beta for a couple of months. Only a handful of people really got into it, and then they released it out to a lot more people recently. So it's starting to gain traction. They just had an event this past weekend where Hi-Res members would queue into Xbox and PS4 Paladins to give new players a run for their money. And judging by the Twitters of a lot of the Hi-Res people, it looked like it was a great success. It seems like they had a great turnout.
That sounds awesome. And since we don't have a Dota commentator this week, I'll take you guys through the Dota 2 division standings. The Midas division, we still have Washington State. They're at 5-0. They're kicking ass. They're taking names, and they've come out on the top of that. But they fall really closely by OSU Indonesia. They're 4-0. So those two battling it out for the top of Midas. Demonheads division, we have the University of Waterloo sitting comfortably at 4-0 while being chased closely by University of Illinois at 3-1. And U Toronto at 3-0. The Daedalus division, the LU No Arc Warden hell of a good name, sitting at 4-1 at the Daedalus division, followed closely by the Cornell Big Red Bears, who were really strong last season. They had some really great games. I can't wait to see them. They're sitting at 3-0, so once they catch up on their games, I really would think we're going to see them overtake their division. But I mean, no Arc Warden is a pretty damn good squad. Radiance division, we got Stony Brook University sitting at 4-0, followed closely by UD Bird Squad. Stony Brook has been phenomenal lately. They, actually the whole tournament. So they're one of the really strong teams to keep an eye on. In the Lincoln's division, UMass Amherst, they're sitting at 4-0, followed by Full Sail Coalition at 3-1, tied actually with Georgia Tech Gentlemen's Club and Rochester's Institute of Tardigrades. They're all in that lovely three-way right there for second place. And last but not least, the Tarask division, the UC Davis Aggies sitting at 4-0, followed closely by the UCB Bears and the UBC, not to be confused, Dota, both sitting at 3-1, both going to be, whoever wins the second place spot, I say they get to use those three letters and the other person has to figure out something else. And that'll wrap up Dota for you. So let's that's our recaps on every game. Let's go into the top plays of the week, sponsored by Twitch.
Trying to get out of there as fast as he can.
And he's looking to pull off an objective steal of his own. The last time Penn State tried this,
He got it! He got it!
Now objectives, no one's safe. FDD, he's really not safe. Everything being thrown on top of him. Throws out the ultimate just for the move. It's beat it just by luck, able to keep him alive.
In the meantime,
And TM Havoc continuing to pump out those auto attacks into the enemy team, but to no avail. 3 members are down for George Mason compared to only 1 on the side of Penn State. They're just trying to buy time for the Hercules to come back alive, but doesn't have that teleport online. Just currently trying to get that portal demon. CM is going to see if he can do anything about it. Spirit Ball from
stole
the
it!
back, gonna
He
steal
stole
it!
how did
Right now, it's still taking Queens College forever to try and come into this bomb site. Epsilon in a nice deep position to stop
Oh.
it. Does find 1, does find 2, and a third at the very end.
Fear no evil, but unfortunately now it is down and the Gold Fury has 4 people on top of it. They're trying their hardest, but if they use their abilities improperly here, they're just gonna die.
Yeah, and now they're going to go for this steal. Penn State do steal it away. Starkey, he's in trouble. Menaeus will be able to find that kill, and Lermy and Wiggles, they're trying to get out.
Bad save here. If
Oh no, they're going for it!
They are. Oh, goodness. This is going to be dangerous. NFO does peek the corner, able to take down Boca Boy right off the bat. Now it's going to be a 2-on-2 bomb plant in their favor, which is Queens College anyways. Now it's going to be a 1-on-1, going to jump around the corner. NFO tries to make the shot, gets around, ends up getting the frag on Boca, or Bryce.
And that was the AVGL Top Plays of the Week, brought to you by Twitch and their new clip feature. If you haven't tried it, it's Alt-X during any stream, and it'll just clip that little piece of video for you. It's heaven for us. And if you have any moment that you're streaming and you want to keep, do that. It's awesome, and you'll have it forever. Or, when you screw up, someone else will do it, and then they'll have that forever on you. All right, so moving from Top Plays, we have our school club LAN event of the week, and this week it's Rutgers University Esports. They're putting on their Scarlet Classic 3. Now this event is going to be taking place April 23rd, and it's going to be featuring the most popular esports titles, and gamers throughout the tri-state area will come together and compete until champions are crowned. The event will also feature a number of vendors, artists, and game demos. So, stuff you haven't seen before, always a good thing. There are going to be over 40 consoles, 150 computer stations, 50 handheld gaming devices, and over 450 attendees. Gameplay from various games will be I almost combined streamed together because they're just so entwined. Will be streamed on Twitch at twitch.tv/Rutgers_esports and at twitch.tv/MasterhandGaming. You can check out their event on their Facebook page, facebook.com/Rutgers Esports. And that is your School Club LAN event of the week, brought to you by the AVGL. If you're in the tri-state area, go check it out. It's going to be a badass time. You're going to have a good time. I promise you. I don't even live in the tri-state area. That's how confident I am. All right, so with that, let's go into kind of general esports news. Let's start with CSGO. Cameron, well, what's going on there?
So upcoming in April, we actually have 3 events coming up of varying sizes. First off, on April 1st to the 2nd, it's just been announced that I Buy Power Invitational 2017 is going to happen, which is going to be, it's only going to have a, compared to the rest of professional scenes, somewhat modest prize pool of 16K. But there's also going to be a number of top teams that were there last year that aren't going to be there this year, because on April, what is it? I have the dates right here. What am I talking about? April 4th through the 9th is going to be the Star Series Season 3 finals, which is going to have, what's the prize purse for that? Ooh, I don't have a prize purse for that right here. Well, it's going to have a lot. I'm assuming it's going to be like at least 100K. And that's going to, the teams invited to that are going to be SK, Astralis, MVP Project from Korea, G2, Virtus Pro, FaZe, Tyloo, Fnatic, North, Navi, 5 Power from also from China, as well as Tyloo, CLG, NIP, Gambit, Immortals, and Hellraisers. And then after that, on April 19th to the 23rd, we have CS Summit, which is run, I believe, one of the first, if not the first, Counter-Strike event hosted by Beyond the Summit. Again, I don't have a prize purse for that, and it's going to have, 3 North American, 2 Swedish teams. Well, it's going to have 8 teams total. I don't know why he's gave me that, but it's going to be SK, Liquid, Gambit, Godsent, Optic, Envious, Cloud9, and NIP.
Holy hell!
Yeah.
You mentioned the new map last week, right?
No, we didn't actually have a chance to broadcast in the last week. So if you want to talk about the new map, now's the time.
There's also a new map. It's in the game. It's within the reserves group. And so they're just putting it there right now. I don't know if Valve is going to try and push it to become competitively viable and put it in the active duty roster. You could probably find some pretty strong opinions on that. I will save mine for not this broadcast, but it's a new one. It's definitely different and unique. A lot of people are having a lot of fun with it, just trying it out and figuring out what you can do with it. So definitely go checking out. It's Canals. It's set in, what's that place in Italy with the boats and the water and the
Venice?
Venice? There you go. Yeah.
Well, it sounds awesome, and I hope so. So let me get this straight. You can be, on the in the middle of Venice on a little boat, and and then CS:GO.
Yeah,
sounds awesome.
Well, you're not on a boat because the water is actually it's shallow enough to walk on in the map.
Good to know.
But otherwise,
okay. You are your own boat. All right, perfect. So that wraps up CS:GO. That sounds like it's going to be some badass events with decent prize pools and great teams. So those are going to be something to keep an eye out for. What's there to keep an eye out for Smite, J-Mac?
Well, the big thing to note for the remainder of tonight and up through a little bit of tomorrow, Smite is still celebrating its 3rd birthday. Happy birthday again to you, Smite. I got to also lovingly sing it the other night on the Smite Central Twitch at the very end of our broadcast. I sang happy birthday to Smite. It was fun. You get triple worshipers during the remainder of today and tomorrow for it. So if you want to get those gods of diamond along with your team boosters you may have, you can get up to 6 times the worshipers. I mean, you can get an instant mastery on a god in one game. I mean, if that's what you want to do. Aside from the birthday, the new patch notes have come out for patch notes 4.5. Without going into a lot of detail with it, one of the biggest things to note is that slows are one of the most annoying things in Smite next to knockups. Knockups are the absolute best because there's no diminishing return as far as crowd control goes. Slows, however, have always been a little bit awkward with Smite. They are now fully adjusting how slows are going to work. Item slows, if you have 2 items that have a slow built into it, such as Frostbound Hammer and Poison Star, the one with the stronger slow will be the one that applies, not a stacking slow with it.
Thank God.
God abilities, however, will stack with all slows from any source. So if you have a Nemesis with Frostbound and she hits you with Slice and Dice, you'll be slowed from the Frostbound hit plus the Slice and Dice, which is going to stack in there. It will have its diminishing return, so it's not going to be a really harsh, 50%. It's going to be more something like 35, 40% just because of how diminishing returns works with it. At the same time, relic slows will behave like god abilities and they'll stack with other ones. So if you have something like a horrific emblem, that will slow, that'll stack with your god ability slows, and then that'll stack afterwards with the item slows. So that's the big thing to take out of this one. The new Celestial Voyage event has started. We now have 5 more Stargazer style skins. for Onher, Bastet, Kepri, Neath, and Thoth getting his. Basically, if it's an Egyptian god, it's going to have some kind of Stargazer skin, which I love. I think that's probably one of the best themes that Smite has in the game. New event's going to start. All the skins except for Thoth are directly purchasable. If you buy all of those skins, you do get the Thoth skin. The remainder of the event is just going to be a bunch of quests that happen in order to get you tokens to draw for potential new prizes, including a new feature brought in, which is loading screen backgrounds. Normally we have the loading frames and you have all kinds of other crazy stuff that happens. Now they're adding loading screen backgrounds to the potential rewards for that one. There's pedestal rewards, loading frames. Going into some of just really, really brief on balance changes. Mark of the Vanguard, probably one of the more notable ones, is getting hit a little bit for its HP. Masamune is going to be getting a protections increase on its stacks. Now will go up to 35 protections when it's fully stacked instead of 25. And as far as gods go, probably the two biggest ones to talk about are Kernunos, the newest god in Smite, the new Celtic Hunter. Going to be seeing a little bit of nerf. His base power is being reduced, as well as the lifesteal on Shifter of Seasons. No longer scales from 8 to 20. It will now start from 5 and go to 15% because at max rank, 20% lifesteal is as good or better than every single lifesteal item in the game. And it was a passive on his first ability. So on top of 3 other crazy passives he has, depending on which stance he wants to be in. The other one is going to be a minor talking point because I'm just so disappointed with how they approached it, is a Thoth nerf. Thoth's ultimate is going to have a mana cost increase, which is fine. It's going to put him in line with just about every other ult in the game, going up from 90 to 100 mana cost. However, if you now cancel this ability early, because you can charge it, it doesn't do anything if you charge it. It's just an intimidating, loud cry that can be heard across the game, basically. I mean, if you could be in your tiny room, they're going to hear it on the other side of the map. It's just that loud. If you now cancel this ability early, it will cost 30 mana. Not the way I would have liked to have seen him nerfed, but that's going to be one thing. So we're no longer just going to hear people going, oh,
that's a quality of life change for somebody who plays with a bunch of trash like I do. I play with trash, and that just gets in your head, man. It gets.
It's just like the Mercury clap for his ultimate. It doesn't do anything but make a large sound. So, and then actually probably the biggest quality of life that's actually a really big buff is Nemesis. In her double dash, you can now use abilities and auto attacks between the first and second dash now. So, thank goodness we finally gotten that. That's a big thing. So. Other than that, just a lot of nitty-gritty patch stuff that I don't feel that we need to go over here. So that's going to be it for Smite.
Nice.
Wait, question.
What?
Question on the
Yes.
slows. What
Yes.
what happens about when the slowing item is on 2 different heroes that's hitting the same person?
It's going to still apply with the strongest slow.
It's only going to be one of them?
Yeah,
Okay, so
it'll
it's
only
not like
apply one
the
of them.
strongest. It's not like the strongest slow from each hero. It's the strongest slow.
Yeah, it's the strongest slow overall.
Right.
Okay.
And it used to be that certain items would diminish returns so that if you had 2 items and one of them had a separate slow, it's stacked a weird way where the lesser slow actually overrode the greater slow, which was a little bit frustrating because it made some of the items less useful to build. So it potentially has it potentially gives more items a chance to find their way back into the meta a little bit more, because that was a weird instance for a little while.
Damn, it sounds crazy. So we've heard kind of, a little bit about Smite. So you sound like I can't wait to hear what you got for us for Paladins. I know there's a lot going on right now. So let us know what up with
All right. Cool. Yeah. So the Masters qualifiers for the Masters LAN just finished this past week. I believe that in North America, Astral Authority ended up sweeping the North American group, and District 69, who is a final contender at Worlds back in January, ended up sweeping the Europe side of things. Also joining them at LAN is Burrito Esports, who are your Worlds finalists. Yeah, I mean the name sounds like a joke, but man, they're legit. Like they've had kind of a rough spring split. things haven't really gone their way. They've had to have a couple of subs. They're still working with some new roster changes. But I mean, they still look very solid overall. And they've qualified for LAN, so that still says something. And from North America, Team Eager, who was another Worlds qualifier, also made it through the North American side. So that's 4 out of the 9 seeds for the Paladins Masters LAN. Oceania also has their representative confirmed. That's Team Kanga Esports. If you saw Abyss at this past Worlds, that it's the same roster. Abyss was
nice.
a semi-finalist at the last Worlds, but falling to, I want to say District 69, but it was one of the 2 European squads. I could be wrong between District 69 and Burrito. But so that's exciting. So that's 5 of the 9 that's 5 of the 9 teams officially confirmed for Paladins Masters. It's going to be on the exact same weekend as our AVGL finals.
So of course you'll watch AVGL. I mean, come on.
Right. Yeah. So we still have, I believe we still have yet to determine, or Paladins still has yet to determine a Brazilian, a Latin American, a Brazilian and a Latin American qualifier, and they still need to run a gauntlet for North America and Europe to determine those last 4 spots. So that's what's happening in the professional side of Paladins. In addition, Paladins just released a patch today. Let's see if I can find it. Here we go. So the patch was released today. It was detailed on stream last week. And so over half of the champions received some sort of balance change, or not over, almost half of the champions received some sort of balance change to their kit, no matter how minor it was. As well, a new champion was also added. I don't know whether he will be available this weekend for competitive play, but it'll be interesting if he is. The character's name is Lex. He is a hit scan flank, kind of like Androxus, except he doesn't have the same vertical mobility, but he does have increased ground movement with his dash, which is really interesting. He has an execute on his ultimate for any champion who is at or below 65%.
Holy hell.
That's his ultimate. It is stopped by shields, so that there is counterplay to it. Anybody above 65% takes flat 600 damage. So it sounds like a lot. I ended up playtesting him on the PTS. My first playtest was after I played Androxus, so at first he felt like a slower Androxus, just because they're both hit scan pistol style characters. But after I played with him a couple more games, I kind of felt where he fit in a little bit more. He's more of like a damage flank per se, just because he doesn't have the vertical mobility that most of the flanks have in this game. On top of that, there were some really interesting balance changes to come out of the patch. One of the most interesting, I would like to think, is the Makoa change. The Makoa change was absolutely huge. So Ancient Rage has stayed mostly the same for a long time. That's his ultimate. Basically, he becomes a melee character, full heals, gains an extra 4,000 health, and can still use all the rest of his skills except for his shell shield for 8 seconds. And it used to grant CC immunity for all 8 seconds of the ultimate, and now it has none. So there's going to be a lot of counterplay now to the Makoa ultimate. He was a blanket top pick for a lot of competitive in last season. He's been a blanket top pick for a lot of competitive this season, so we might see him fall down a little bit, which will be really interesting to see, because it's been a long time. I don't know if I've in my time watching Paladins, I don't know if I've seen Makoa not be a top pick, which is going to be it's going to be strange, that's for sure. Couple other
It's never a bad thing
champions.
to mix up the meta, right?
It's not. I mean, I'm a little biased. I do like Makoa. He's not my favorite, but I mean, he's really fun. He is definitely very strong. He's definitely been one of the best characters in the game for a long time. He has the best displacement skill in the game with the dredge anchor. You hook somebody, pull them directly to you, and in competitive, a confirmed Makoa hook means they're dead.
Okay.
If it doesn't, that means your team probably
You're
isn't
gonna lose.
coordinating together well enough. Yeah. So that's pretty nuts. A couple other significant changes. Some of the other top tier tanks got nerfed as well. Barrack is well known for the amount of damage he can output as well as his sustain. He can heal. He has cards that let him heal from his turrets. So he had a little bit of a damage nerf. Torvald, who is another flank, he can put shields on other people. He had a slight cooldown increase on that so that he doesn't just like completely absorb half of the enemy team's damage by putting a shield on whoever is being focused.
Oh yeah, that'd be ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a lot of the character's a lot of fun. Torvald is great. He was seeing a lot of high level play despite a general lack of mobility. It was also because he has a legendary card that whenever he uses protection on somebody, whenever he gives them that shield, they have a 40% damage increase while they have that shield on them. So while the character's getting focused, they have a shield and they can also return fire at almost 1.5 times the amount of damage they used to be able to. So having that up less often is pretty significant.
I can see that being a major change for his playstyle.
Yeah, it only is down 2 seconds, but 2 seconds up from 7 seconds is almost a 30% increase. So it's definitely significant. In general, Fernando got some buffs. Fernando was a high tier for forever. In season 2, it was him and Makoa, top picks every game. And then when the legendary card system came out, he had some changes in his kit that he fell out of the meta a fair bit, and these will likely bring him back in. A lot of the changes this patch were focused on general how tanks fit into the meta, just because when a tank sits in the meta when a tank sits at the top of the meta, unless there's a major shift, they often don't seem to go anywhere.
Yeah, they kind of define their spot and define the meta.
Yeah, and tanks are just like probably the strongest class in Paladins right now, if not at least one of the top. And so it's really important for them to just for them to continue to be looked at. There are a couple other important changes, a couple buffs to some healers that weren't seeing a lot of love or success. A couple of nerfs to some damage characters like Drogos, who's seen a lot of play and can one-shot literally anybody.
Makes for a hell of a highlight reel.
He definitely has crazy highlight plays. He just does it too well. Like his burst on shields is really good, and then his ability to he's the only character in the game that can single-handedly like really wreck an ulted Makoa, at least before this patch, just because no other character single-handedly, or very few at least, are going to get through 10,000 health on a tank. But his ult literally can 100 to 0. So that's awesome. Important. So those are some of the big changes in the game. And it'll be interesting to see how those play out in picks and bans in both the Masters Land Gauntlet this weekend, as well as in the AVGL finals qualifiers.
Oh yeah, it's always good to have a meta shift right before the the qualifiers for the finals.
Yeah,
but we'll see which game. It really does help though. Kind of weed out who's the better teams, because if you can adapt, you're clearly going to be the better team. You're not just playing to a meta that you've somehow finagled your way to winning. You haven't cheated the meta. Now you're going to be better at the game. So I always like it when we get a little mix-up. Hey, man, thanks for taking us through Paladins. I know not a lot of people have heard a lot about it, and it's always good to get some news out there about it.
Yeah, for sure.
Since we don't have anybody here for Dota 2, that's where I got my humble beginnings are in Dota 2. And so we've got some exciting news going on in the Dota scene in general. The Kiev Major, we had the qualifiers for that week before last. And besides some surprises, like Team Onyx with Demon, who's making his way back. He used to be part of TNC when they made their huge run at the International, but he's requalified after getting kicked from that team with Team Onyx, so that's really cool to see. And actually, one of the direct invites didn't have a team sponsor. They had one when they got picked up. They were called Ad Finum, and but the players get the invite, not the agency. So when they didn't renew their contracts, they were kind of out in the air, and it was just released, I think today, that Penta Esports picked up the old Ad Finum squad. So Penta Esports, that's a hell of a squad to pick up, going right to the Kiev Major. Other qualifying teams, you've got SG Esports coming out of South America qualifier. A bit of an unknowns besides King RD, but they're going to be. It's always good to see a new team come in and shake it up, just like Ad Finum did. No surprise, Team Secret made it. Virtus Pro made it through the qualifiers. I was really hoping to see Na'Vi make a comeback with Dendi, but that was just not in the cards this time. Invictus Gaming, people have got to be really excited about this. They took both of the China qualifier spots with Invictus Gaming and Invictus Vitality. So both teams made it through the qualifier stage, so they're going to really hope to do really well. Team Faceless coming out of SEA, no big surprises there. Black can carry a squad like nobody's business, and then with Ice backing it up, and Winter actually as the coach, they did an amazing job through their qualifiers. TNC climbing their way back with Raven and Cuckoo at the head. Sam H, the offlane, was making some crazy plays during the qualifiers. I can't wait to see more of him in competitive Dota. I also want to say, the already invited teams, in case you didn't know, were Wings, of course, OG, of course, Liquid, EG, DC, Newbie. No surprises there, but this one big surprise, Team VGJ. Now, they just kind of got put together by VG, but they've been winning or been second place in everything since they've gotten together. So it was really nice to see them to get their direct invite. You got Aggressive, who was from the TI run that almost won. They got second place. You got Roddick, who's returning of the Queen. FY got and then Fenrir and Freeze. They're an amazingly awesome team, and it's going to be really cool to see them compete. Also dropped in Dota 2 last week was the Blade Form Legacy. Dota 2, we finally got our Juggernaut Arcana, and it's his mask being split down the middle, and he gets a little dragon spirit. And ironically, this news is now old enough that the Dota 2 community complained so much about the color scheme, they released another color scheme that you can unlock. That is big props to Valve for listening to their fan base and being like, all right, here, the color, after it being a meme for about a day and a half all over the Dota 2 subreddit. Also, Jakiro, one of the last characters to get their remodel. He looks fantastic now. He doesn't look like, a paper bag with two heads pretending to be a dragon, which, it's going to be a little sad to see the last of the old ones go, but it's going to be really nice to play him again and not look, like I said, a bag of garbage with, two heads pretending to be a dragon. I think other than that, we got Epicenter. What's that?
It doesn't look that different. Like, let's be real. Like, the texture is nice and updated, but like the design is the same.
In game though, that texture made such a huge quality.
Whatever. Who's looking at your model anyway? You just like see, oh, that's the blur in the corner. That's Shakiro. I'm gonna hit that with my mouse.
It's spoken like a true CS goer.
Exactly.
Like he just points and shoots.
Exactly. He's like, can I kill it with a gun? Don't care. And then last,
I am not a filthy sniper main. You take that back.
Never. All right, so last is Epicenter's been announced. They put on one of the best tournaments I saw last year, and they're going to bring it back this year. June, I think June? No. The playoff stage is going to begin in April, and they're also going to do a cosplay contest, so that's going to be quite interesting. That'll cover it up. That'll finish it up for Dota. Okay, so let's go back to the AVGL, guys. J-Mac, give me your predictions for Smite. What do you think's going to happen?
Well, with a lot of our matches already finishing up, I've already kind of gone through, as we talked about earlier, the divisions, how some of them are finishing up and how some of them are looking to be finished up. The 5 divisions that still have some games to be played were the Celtic division. Salisbury's already won. DePaul University likely going to be taking the second place for that one and moving on to the gauntlet stage. St. Joseph's has already clinched their first place seed, and it looks like UMass Dartmouth going to be taking the second place seed. They do have the head-to-head over just about everybody else in their division. Tarrant County has sealed theirs in the Yomi Conference Hindu division. They're going to go 8-0 this year. Three seasons, not even 3 seasons that this majority of this team has been undefeated. One full undefeated season. Currently still undefeated going into here, looking to possibly go undefeated, not even drop a single game going towards the gauntlet stages and maybe even towards potential land if this team that's one of the big power picks that a lot of us here at the AVGL and the Smite scene have been saying is we're really seeing Tarrant County as a huge potential land pickup here for this. In their division,
yes.
they leave Georgia Tech Yellow has already, I believe, sealed their second place seed. On the other side, George Mason and Penn State had their matchup this last week, which was probably some of the best Smite that we've seen on the AVGL in a long time. George Mason was able to take that one in a 2-1 set against Penn State. And the last one that's still kind of up for contention, as I said, was the Roman division. University of California, Santa Cruz is looking to be the big dog. They do still have a match to play this week, if I'm not mistaken, against University of Advancing Technology. They have another set against Regis University, who's currently sitting second place. So that's those 2 games alone will potentially decide the entire fate of this division. So those are the big 2 matches that we're going to be looking up, is really anything that University of Advancing Technology plays, especially against UCal Santa Cruz and Regis. So those are the games that we'll be looking for. Will they be able to pull it out? You never know. This is Smite. We've seen some crazy stuff here. Not only at AVGL, we've seen it in pro scenes, we've seen it just about everywhere. Anything can happen. So those are what I'm looking forward to watching this week.
It sounds like it's going to be awesome. I can't wait to see who comes out on top. Cameron, what do you think CSGO? What's going to happen? What do we give us your prediction, man?
So for that, we have on Group A at the top is actually a pretty interesting fight between GG's, Eleni Esports Team Ignis, Waterwoo, and then kind of below them Ryerson. They seem to be struggling a little bit. And actually upcoming this week, we're actually going to have Ignis versus Waterwoo. That's going to be exciting. Waterwoo has kind of been struggling a little bit. And so if I had to predict, I'd predict Team Ignis out on top, but that should be an exciting match. And then there's also GG's are going to be facing up against ISU. And so when I'm going to assume the GG's are going to take that pretty solidly, and that's going to make a 2-way tie for first between GG's and Ignis. On Group B, we have McMaster. They're expected to stay at the top. But then if MC Edgelords, who are 3-1, lose to, I don't question it. If MC Edgelords lose to University of Central Missouri, who are 2-2, it'll put McMaster even farther ahead in first, as well as a 2-way tie for second. On Group C, we have Donald's Deplorables. I don't question it. They just, I'm expecting them to absolutely wipe Queens. We saw Queens just play against University of Montreal this past Sunday, and they got destroyed. And just seeing how good Donald's Deplorables plays as a team, I'm expecting another similar game against Queens, and that should put Donald's Deplorables significantly far ahead in first, as what we saw from McMaster and C. Montreal and Boston are there to face off against are about to face off against each other, and that should put them with a fight against Queens for second. And with that one, I'm also expecting Montreal to come on top because just of how strong they play. They had a struggling start, but of how strong they played against Queens, I don't know if anyone other than maybe Donald's Deplorables in this group can stand up against them. Group D, C-Tech may lose their first place spot to Carleton. Who are currently second along with Georgetown and Champlain. This is going to be an interesting 4-team fight for first and second place. And a lot of these teams have really faced only the bottom half of the team so far. There has been very few matchups right now, and so that's going to be exciting. I mentioned this earlier on the recap. This is going to be exciting, like second half of the season for Group D. E, if Kentucky, who are currently in second place, if they beat Georgia Tech A, it'll keep them virtually locked in neck and neck with the University of Central Florida, who are currently in first, leading up to their playoff at they finally meet up at the last week of their group. In Group F, we're going to have KSU and GMU both staying at the head of their pack before they face off next week. But at this point, if University of Houston downtown and North Georgia Esports want to show they can contend for an upper seed in this group, this is the week that they have to. If they don't show it this week, I mean, technically Houston, I think, were supposed to play KSU last week, but in the games that yet to be played, if we want this group to be relevant to anyone outside of KSU and GMU, both of these teams have to win this week. On Group G, definitely expect UCI to come out on top on that. But if UCI and UCSC Slugs are facing off, I definitely expect UCI to win. But if Slugs can take it, it will create a three-way tie for first place between those two teams and UBC Cat Bubbles. And then finally on Group H, UC San Diego face off against CSULB, which that's going to be an exciting match because for starters, CSULB, looking over to other collegiate seasons, they actually just took out Montreal. This was the 32 seed beating the first. Yeah, they beat in the 2-0 round of 32 bracket, the 32 seed beating the first seed.
Bracket breakers. That's brutal.
No, yeah, because it really surprised me, especially seeing how Montreal played against Queens, which I believe took place before their round of 32 match. I don't know the exact timetable on that, but that was just... And so if CSULB suddenly up their game to that level, this is going to be a really interesting match between them and UC San Diego, and like a really hard fought fight for first. That makes sense. And so that's basically these two teams fighting for first, and then CU Boulder, University of Washington just slowly tailing behind them, trying to see who can get third.
Damn, sounds like there's going to be a hell of a upcoming competition, and there's so many games that you're saying that I had no idea about. Now I'm like, okay, yeah, maybe I'll watch that one. That sounds awesome. Like, all right, Strix, I know you're new to the AVGL, so I won't go too hard on you. But have you seen anything in Paladins that you'd see that's maybe something to keep an eye out, or just a prediction in general?
So. I believe we're still working on getting things finalized for the weekend. All the games, all 6 sets, I believe, will be on this Sunday. So I think we're getting stuff. We're finishing up stuff for that. I would say that a couple teams to keep for people to keep their eyes on are just generally the teams that have been playing at the top of their game for the last couple of weeks. Basically the top seeds in most of the divisions. Davenport has, Wi-Fi is a huge name. Evoli and Powtech are currently on the undefeated North American team in Astral Authority. Wi-Fi, of course, on Eager. Grapple has had his name's been thrown around in the pro scene here and there. I don't believe he's on a team right now, but I could be wrong. But to have 4 pro-level players on one team and 3 of them being in the top 2 teams in North America is really big. So I would definitely keep an eye on them. Rowan University is another good team. Z1 Unknown is a huge name in Paladins. He was on Eager with current teammate on Rowan, Shady Shades. He's since moved to Panda Global. But these two people have a lot of synergy together. Look at they've had multiple shutouts as a team, 0 death games. Yeah, they had one game where everybody but Shady didn't die. Shady ended up, I guess, assaulting their backline. Continuously. He died 4 times, but somewhere in the game he got at least 1 quadra kill. So I mean, it's worth it.
It's the old "look at me" strategy where you jump in,
Right.
look at me, and your team kills them.
Yeah. And the third team that I really like focusing on is Clark. They've got a couple of big names. I Drop Bodies is not only a menacing name, but he's also a fantastic player. He's also on Astral Authority. So we've got 3 of the 3 players on the top North American team, on the undefeated North American team so far in the spring, are college students. They're in the AVGL right now. which is
That's awesome.
insane. And then a roster on the that's been up and coming, Exalted. They have 2 players on Clark as well. The Spuds is one, and Force is another. If you for anybody who doesn't know those names or this team, I believe they've been playing around the Paladins Challenger circuit recently, as well as the ESL, the Paladins ESL tournaments. Their most notable achievement so far is taking a set off of Team AGG a couple weeks back, who is the 3rd place team in North America and the 1st place team headed into the North American Gauntlet for the final North American spot at Masters. So those 2 players are fantastic. I hadn't seen much of them before I ended up looking more into them recently, but their team is fantastic. They're obviously great players if they can, if they and their team can take game off of top teams in North America. So I think those are 3 teams that we really want to look at. I don't know which of the top 2 out of those 3 I really expect to make the finals at the Paladins Masters LAN. It could be a toss-up. So I guess it's everybody's just got to bring their A game, you know?
Yeah, definitely. It sounds like it's going to be a hell of a showdown for first, for damn sure.
Yeah,
so,
for
and
sure.
then we're coming up on those finals, so make sure everybody stays tuned for that. That's going to be amazing. It's all going to be right here. And don't forget, so Dota 2, we're going to go through real quick my boring picks because it's pretty easy. I mean, Washington's still undefeated at 5-0. Indonesia 4-0. University of Waterloo 4-0. But one thing I'd like to say is don't forget about the Red Bears. Those guys were really fun to watch last year. That's Cornell, the Big Red Bears. They were fun as hell to watch. And I also want to take a second to thank everybody for thinking of the most ridiculous names and team names, because that makes this thing so much more fun when somebody's throwing out these wild ass names, so I really appreciate that. And don't forget, if you want to catch up on any AVGL information like the standings, the schedule, maybe check out next season or some upcoming news, which we'll announce next show. We got something really exciting coming for you. You can follow us on Twitter. You can follow any of us on our, the thing under us. That's our Twitter handles. You can find us. Also, the AVGL Twitter, pretty easy to find. You can search AVGL, and we have AVGL ones for every specific sport. But AVGL Official is the one to go to. They have all of the links, all of the giveaways. We have our DX seat giveaway going on still. We've got stream giveaways, all sorts of good stuff. And then for the standings, just go to avglcollege.org. Competitions, you can select by game, and then check it out for yourself and maybe make some predictions. Hint, hint. Start thinking about your predictions. Maybe if you had to put them in a bracket of some sort. Hint, hint. All right. With that, we're going to take our final thoughts. J-Mac, what's your final thought of the day?
This is going to be the Battle Royale for the Roman Division. You're not going to want to miss it, as these are all going to be going down throughout the week and finishing up on Saturday. That's going to be exciting to watch, and more than anything, I'm excited because we may be streaming the Calvin College Southwestern as well. So if you haven't been keeping up with those teams, you should be. Come out, watch some awesome Smite. We're going to be rounding up our regular season and getting ready to go into our gauntlets pretty soon.
Hell yes. Cameron, final thoughts.
Come watch us whenever we broadcast Counter-Strike on Sundays. You have a great broadcast team, not just myself, but also everyone else behind me, on the mic with me, as well as behind the actual broadcast. So definitely come tune in. It's exciting stuff. And if what I've been teasing this entire time about upcoming deciding games hasn't excited you, then I don't know what else I can do.
Yeah, you've done a pretty damn good job, I've got to admit.
Like strip? Right. I don't know. What do you want?
No, that's too far. That's too far. We have dignity.
That's not allowed on Twitch. You can't do that.
Yeah, exactly. We'll get kicked. We'll get banned. Strixus, what are your final thoughts of the day?
I would just recommend everybody to come out and watch Paladins this weekend. We've got, just 6 great matches this Sunday. It should be really exciting. If you don't know much about the game, it's fantastic. It's really it's fairly thought intensive, just because you have so many different build strategies as well as team comp and play strategies. It's very complex. Even like you might not see it at face level, but there's so much going behind the scenes with how characters make choices and stuff. And it's a really great game. It's really easy to watch and get into and spectate, and then it's just as easy to get started and start playing. I've gotten a couple people into it myself already, and yeah, it's great. So yeah, come out and support the college paladin scene this weekend, and come watch with us and figure out who makes the Masters LAN.
Oh yes, and with the relatively new game, who knows if you get good quick, as they say, you could be maybe competing soon. And my final thoughts, as always, are every time you watch, don't forget your college credits. You can use them to win prizes, unlike your regular college credits, which you get a piece of paper that might give or might not give you a job. Not to be too much of a downer, but yeah, we'll see contests on the stream all the time. Stay in school. And more importantly, stay in esports. That's the best part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yes. All right. So with that, we're going to wrap up. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you to all of my guests for coming. Strixus, thanks for coming, your first time. Tweet out how much you loved being on the show so everybody can check it out later. You can find us on YouTube. We're on, all of the videos. If you wanted to clip this and show it to your friends, you can do that too. And thank you for watching, and have a good night.